Been spending most our lives living in a gangster's paradise. Been spending most our lives living in a gangster's paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in a gangster's paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in a gangster's paradise.
3, 2, 1, roll 5.
In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, welcome friends to the 36th episode of Crime and Punishment, a legal podcast, not a political one. This is the official podcast of the Invictus Law Firm, PA, a criminal defense law firm in Orlando, Florida, the website for which is augustusinvictus.com. That is me, yours truly, your host for today's program. I'm joined by my trusty co-host, Tiger Jin. How's it going, Tiger?
All right.
All right. So, we've got some news for you, but first, I've got to say that we are broadcasting, simulcasting from Twitch, D-Live, Periscope, and YouTube. That's a lie. Twitch, D-Live, Twitter, and YouTube. I guess they shut down Periscope. I got to get with the times. We've got a newsletter. We've got a viral style. We've got to get you guys signed up for that. So if you look in the description, it will have all the links to all the social media, the newsletter, the viral style, etc. Without further ado, actually, let's make some more ado, because the chat does not seem to be working, but that's all right. We'll just keep checking in, because the stream does seem to be live. So let's just move right into it, shall we? What do you want to talk about first, Tiger? We got the Sudan cracking down on political folks, activists. We've got Biden picking Supreme Court nominees. We've got Tesla being sued by the state of California for discriminating against African Americans. What is the correct term for that? You know what? That reminds me. I know I asked you what we should start with, but I think we should start with this. So I got a notification. I don't actually check this email address. It's like a junk email address. YouTube removed your content. I got this in my Gmail from YouTube Community Guidelines for episode 33. It's been a long time since I've gotten any strikes on social media, had anything removed from social media, because I love Big Brother. And I think I've been very explicit in my admiration and my earnest affection for Big Brother. I've said nothing political that I can recall. Nothing that could even be construed as political. We have no political opinions here at Crime and Punishment. This is a purely legal program. I, however, got this email that says, "Hi, Augustus Invictus, Esquire. Our team has reviewed your content, and unfortunately, we think it violates our misinformation policy. We've removed the following content from YouTube. Video, Crime and Punishment, episode 33. Then you have these 4 circles. What's amazing about this, I should have done the picture thing. I was going to make a picture of it, but I didn't, because I was like, we don't have time for that. I wish I could, because it's clip art. Right? These 4 circles. And the first one is this referee who's purple. Because I suppose that's inclusive or something. This purple referee blowing a whistle.
You know what that is?
That's the warning.
No, I mean the purple people and such. It's an interesting corporate art style that was deliberately advanced and advertised as being a harmless, inclusive art style
Right,
for
exactly.
companies to use. And it's why you see it everywhere
Right.
and mimicked everywhere.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I wish I made the bloody picture to put it on here so everybody could see, because I remember seeing a meme a while back. It was like, this is what we imagined dystopian artwork to look like. And it was like this dramatic, fascist looking, like, jet planes and sharp angles and all this like ultra cool looking stuff. And next to it, it said, this is what dystopian artwork actually looks like now that we're in the future. And it was this clip art looking purple people blowing whistles thing. That is so friendly. It's all up in all the YMCAs and the subways, and everywhere you go, you see this clip art. And now we're getting this purple referee blowing a whistle because we've got a warning. The next circle that's not yet highlighted is a referee with an orange card that he's going to give us if we get another strike. The third one is a referee with the same card, but it's half orange and half red. And then the last one, and what's interesting about this too, the referee's not looking at you, right? You're seeing a profile of the referee. He's looking away from you. You just see the side of his face and those first three. He gives you the whistle, then he gives you the orange card, then he gives you the orange and red card. The fourth and final circle, the referee turns to look at you and gives you the full red card. And that, you're done. You're done. Your channel is removed. Now, thank God we'll never get to that point, because we don't talk about politics on here. We only talk about the law. So YouTube would certainly not remove us. We scrape boots right along with the best of them. It says, we know that this might be disappointing, but it's important to us that YouTube is a safe place for all. If content breaks our rules, we remove it. If you think we've made a mistake, you can appeal and we'll take another look. Because every appeal I've ever heard of going to YouTube has been successful. Keep reading for more details. How your content violated the policy. Here is where it is very clear that it is over. It's over, folks. There's no more political struggle to be had. It's done. Big Brother has won, and it's now time that you love him. How your content violated the policy. Content that advances false claims that widespread fraud, errors, or glitches changed the outcome of the U.S. 2020 presidential election is not allowed on YouTube. How this affects your channel. Because it's the first time, this is just a warning. If it happens again, your channel will get a strike, and you won't be able to do things like upload, post, or live stream for 1 week. So you are treated like a kindergartner. These are kindergarten instructions with the kindergarten clip art, the whole 9 yards. Don't you question that 2020 election. That's not allowed in this kindergarten class. What's remarkable about this is I don't think we've ever questioned any election. It's not our job here. All we talk about is the law. Not that an appeal would do any good at all, but this is the country we live in now.
Even then, it's just so strange. It's like we're going on 2 years now from that election. Like, I don't...
And we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
2 years is not long enough. Let me ask you this, Tiger. Is 80 years long enough?
I mean, I would...
You know what I mean?
Like, it's in the past. Like, what's going to happen? Who's going to do anything?
Clearly, Hitler's going to come
president.
back and take over the country. That's what's going to happen.
I guess.
You cannot talk about things from 2 years ago. Anyway, there it is. What to do next? Oh, that's what I was going to say first. So, yeah, this whole freedom of speech thing, right? I guess it's been a while since I've heard people beating their chests about the Constitution, this and that's unconstitutional, and my rights, this. I don't know if it's like law of attraction and those people just aren't anywhere near me anymore, or if it's like people are finally done with the charade. But I do love hearing that. I guess it's been a while since I have, but I love hearing people talking about the Constitution and their rights and stuff, and especially after being in jail without bond for months with zero due process. I hear people talk about the Constitution, and I am so jaded and cynical. I just it's like listening to teenagers talk about how they're going to change the world, you know. It's just, good luck, kid. Good luck with that Constitution of yours. Let me know how it goes when you end up in jail.
About people, oftentimes, usually whenever I would hear about the Constitution, it seems like they, especially when you get to the more like what they call it, sovereign citizen type people, where they seem to refer to it as if it's the only law, not just the highest law, but the only law in the land, and there's no case law on it, no interpretations of it, and where it's just the Constitution is the answer to everything.
Yeah, not that I'm going to criticize the sovereign folks, but I will say it's kind of the extreme end of the spectrum of people believing that the law means something. Like the law is an abstract concept that is inviolable. Like there is such a thing as the rule of law. They've bought into that myth so hardcore that they stake their entire life on it. Until it comes crashing down, of course. I have a very good friend, one of my best friends, who used to be a tax protester. Ended up getting in predictable hot water with the IRS. And, you know, when it got in the news, everybody was just hammering him. How dare, look at this scumbag. This scumbag refuses to pay his taxes. He's not doing his fair share. It just vicious. I mean, as with anybody who goes in the news, anybody who has a news article written about them, they get the most vicious, disgusting attacks from absolute subhumans that you can imagine. We've seen it happen to everybody. So this guy, who's been tax protesting because the government is evil and taxation is theft, and I earned this money, you know, the feds didn't earn this. I don't want to support what they're doing. By the way, this amendment and the Federal Reserve Act is illegal. You know, that whole camp where this is illegal and I'm not paying it. So he's an activist in this regard, and he helps other people, used to, doesn't anymore. But he's doing this, and then he gets jammed up because he's getting too good, helping all of these other people do this. He's now on the chopping block, and everybody in America is attacking this guy because he's a scumbag, right? And that was the moment where he's like, yeah, I've been doing all this for you guys. I am an activist because this is unjust, and they are screwing all of you, not just me. And now I'm getting attacked for this. Same basic deal. So you get to the end of that road and you realize there's no one coming to back you up. Now that you're on the chopping block, all of these people that you were trying to help are very far away. And that will change your outlook on things. What to do next? We want to help you stay on YouTube, so please make sure you understand YouTube's community guidelines and strikes basics. Review your content with our policies in mind. If after reviewing your content you think we made a mistake, let us know. You can appeal this decision here with the hyperlink. Sincerely, the YouTube team.
Hey, YouTube.
Didn't their CEO just get the Freedom of Speech Award or some amazing award like that, like last year?
Yes.
Amazing. Just incredible. I love it.
You know who's next for that award? They're gonna
Facebook.
give it to, Facebook,
Twitter. Somebody up there. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank God for them. We would not have freedom of speech if it weren't for the tech giants in Silicon Valley.
I don't think Andrew Torba will get one though.
Who's that?
I don't know, some guy.
No, I'm serious.
Right.
I don't know who that is. Famous people do not impress me anymore. I once Oh, right, that guy. Yeah. I used to work at the TSA when I was a kid.
Okay.
I got to search Drew Carey once. That was the ultimate highlight in my meeting celebrities in my life. That was just the coolest thing. Because when I was in high school, I used to watch the Drew Carey show every day. And I got to search him. I was like, dude, I am so sorry I have to do this. but I've got to search you. And he was such a cool guy, man. He was such a cool guy. Freedom Falcon is asking, with your international law background, could you do an episode on arrest and prosecution of crimes against humanity? Oh, that is a great idea, Freedom Falcon. In fact, what I'd really like to do is an episode on the Nuremberg trials.
Ah, yeah.
I've got the Nuremberg trials and advance to barbarism. We could absolutely do that because The Intercept is, interestingly, accusing Biden of war crimes right now because of his sanctions against Afghanistan.
Sanctions are a war crime?
Well, when you are, knowingly killing women and children with your blood. Yeah, which is interesting. That's why I say it's interesting, because this is exactly what the liberal countries did after World War I that created the conditions for World War II. They blockaded Germany deliberately to kill women and children, deliberately to attack the civilian population so that it would break German morale and they would give up World War I. Buchanan talks about that in Churchill, Hitler, and the Unnecessary War. So yes, actually, Freedom Falcon, that is a phenomenal idea. I was just telling Tiger, we got to hire an Indian to do all this tech work. I don't even know where my pen is. Tiger, can you write this down? Why do I am in a law office and I do not have a pen. This is embarrassing. Oh, I opened my desk and I literally...
Why in the world does my desk never have a pen?
No, I opened my desk drawer and it had literally a 20-pack of G2 pens, these pilot pens. All right. That's a bit excessive. All right, episode on crimes against humanity and Nuremberg trials. If you have any other ideas, guys, please do put them in the comments. I actually do read these comments while we're live. All right. I love my big brother, says Storm Hunter. Leviathan also says, big up to Big Brother. Absolutely. I would love to see you start a politically oriented channel. Only when I take over the country. Just kidding. But we are doing nothing but legal topics. If Americans have African Americans, does Canada have African Canadians? I would think so, don't they?
Yeah, I think that's how it works. Honestly, seriously, I think even France, they would go like French African, African French, or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that is a good segue, actually, into the topic of California suing Tesla. So, we've got dueling articles from NPR and Wall Street Journal, which maybe they're alike, maybe they're not. Wall Street Journal is ostensibly conservative, NPR is famously liberal. Let's see what they have to say. California sues Tesla over alleged rampant discrimination against black employees. That's the first tell. Alleged rampant discrimination against black employees. The Wall Street Journal's title is a little more toned down. Tesla sued by California agency for alleged racial discrimination and harassment. Two completely different headlines for completely different audiences. Let's start with NPR, because it's always more fun to read the leftists. California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing is suing Elon Musk's company Tesla over racism and harassment toward black employees at Tesla's plant in Fremont, California, according to a lawsuit filed by the state this week. The company has called the lawsuit unfair. Hold the presses. Hold the truck here. Tiger, have you seen all of these articles in the past, I'd say the past month, about Biden pushing for car companies to go electric?
I have not.
Oh, man. So Biden, I guess, invited all of these executives from car companies, from GE, Ford, American car companies, to come to the White House and have this symposium or brainstorming session, whatever it was called, about how are you going to move your companies to doing electric cars. The one company he did not invite was Tesla.
Why?
It was a very public snub of Elon Musk. And nobody missed it. Everybody in the media was talking about it, that Biden deliberately and publicly snubbed Elon Musk. The question is why.
Do you have any idea why? I mean,
I have a friend who believes that Elon Musk is part of the business, as he calls it. He thinks that Musk is secretly a white nationalist, and he has grown too out of control, and now all of the leftists hate him. I actually saw an article on this just earlier today about Biden pushing, I want to say it was $5 billion. Really doesn't sound like a lot considering all of the outrageous spending they're doing in the federal government right now. But I think it was $5 billion to car companies to push their electric car development. I saw that earlier this morning. And then boom, right before the show, we see all of these articles about California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing suing Elon Musk's company Tesla over racism and harassment. I don't think that's an accident.
Yeah, I mean, even just an entire state suing over this kind of thing. It does sound like he's doing something that these guys don't like. And maybe the article will change my mind, but I doubt that it's that he's racist against blacks, that they're doing all this.
Specifically blacks. Yeah, specifically. I don't know why, but yeah, let's continue.
The African is racist against blacks.
Wait, who was the senator? Who was the senator he called Senator Karen the other day? Do you remember? Oh my God. Hold on. Elon Musk. Senator Karen. Yeah, some congresswoman came after him for some garbage about how he makes too much money. And he's like, you're just like that mom in the neighborhood that's always yelling at the kids for no reason and nobody knows what she's talking about. You're like Senator Karen. Elizabeth Warren, that's who it was.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was 2 months ago. Because, yeah, she called her a freeloader, saying that she pays zero in taxes. Or no, I think maybe that was the other way around. Let's see. Warren has long advocated for raising taxes on the wealthy by imposing a tax on the richest Americans' assets rather than just their income. After Musk was named Time Magazine's Person of the Year, Warren complained he should be paying more taxes. Let's change the rigged tax code so the Person of the Year will actually pay taxes and stop freeloading off everyone else, she tweeted Tuesday. Musk, who has never shied away from a Twitter war, replied with a string of insults. "You remind me of when I was a kid, and my friend's angry mom would just randomly yell at everyone for no reason," he said in one tweet. Oh my God. Yeah, that's Senator Karen right there. So he attacks Elizabeth Warren. This was December 15th, this article came out. As if by magic, Biden then starts inviting all car companies in the U.S. to the White House and snubs Tesla. And right after that, he's proposing a $5 billion package to help develop electric cars in every company but Tesla. And then California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing sues Tesla for racism and harassment toward black employees. Does that look like cause and effect, or is that just, oh, this just happened by coincidence within a 2-month period? I just don't think so. It seems like there are some dots to connect here. The lawsuit follows 3 years of investigation into Tesla and alleges that black and African American employees at the company's Fremont plant are segregated to the lowest levels. Oh, shameful. The lawsuit describes multiple instances of racist language and drawings toward black employees, penalizing black employees more harshly than white employees, and denying black employees career advancement opportunities and equal pay for work similar to that of other employees. These numerous...
That's never true. That's never true where it's like, hey, 2 people hold the same exact job, same exact tenure and everything in the company, but one is paid more than the other. Just like...
Well, that's exactly the problem, Tiger. They can't hold the same job because they're being discriminated against. Oh. This has nothing to do with merit, of course. This is because these people are racist. These numerous complaints by black and or African American workers about racial harassment, racial discrimination, and retaliation lodged over a span of almost a decade have been futile, the lawsuit says. Tesla has continued to deflect and evade responsibility. While it claims to not tolerate racial harassment or discrimination at its factories, Tesla's investigations of complaints are not compliant with law. Prosecutors describe years of harassment and discrimination. Well, here is where it gets juicy. The lawsuit says Tesla turned and continued to turn a blind eye to the years of complaints from black employees at the factory. For example, Tesla allegedly is slow to clean up racist graffiti, including ones with swastikas, KKK, the N-word, and other hate symbols that were drawn in common areas and on the factory machines. The lawsuit says one black worker saw "hang N-word" written next to an image of a noose in the bathroom of the break room. The same worker also saw, quote, "all monkeys work outside," end quote, and, quote, "F-word, N-word," end quote, written on the walls of the break room. The writing and drawings allegedly remained for months. Which makes you wonder, if it bothered them so much, why didn't they clean it off themselves?
Yeah. Keep it up there for evidence.
I don't know. I mean, I know that there's certain mechanical environments where it's very macho, especially in industrial settings. I don't know what Tesla's mechanical rooms are like. I assume that even with the high-tech stuff going on, there's still some machismo and... what's the PC word for ball busting? Whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever that one is. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I've worked in those type of environments, and I don't think I would ever see anything that blatant, or I would hear that stuff that blatant, but like drawing it onto stuff, I don't know. To me, that's just...
I tell you, every time I see a swastika drawn in a bathroom, it's wrong. Like they've never drawn one in their lives, and they're trying to draw it on there to say, "Oh my God, Look at what people are doing in the bathroom. Discrimination against black employees was constant, the lawsuit says, and has been going on as early as 2012, the year after Tesla started production there. Black workers at Tesla, Tiger, whatever cracking that is invading my headphones right now. Black. It's a what?
I opened it. It's over.
Oh, okay. Black workers at Tesla complained that managers and supervisors, quote, constantly used the N-word and other racial slurs toward them and other black workers. Just inconceivable that could be the case. I mean, at any company, especially one in California, it's unbelievable that could be the case. I can't wait for the audio files to come out. I'm sure somebody recorded this. I'm sure there's proof of this somewhere that we're all going to get a load of.
Especially if the graffiti's been up for months.
Yeah, somebody must have taken pictures of it.
Better have those pictures right in
I
there.
want to see it. I want to see that lawsuit with all those pictures. I want to hear the audio at trial. Here we go. Some workers at Tesla with tattoos of the Confederate flag would make their tattoos visible to intimidate black workers, according to the lawsuit.
That's why.
Not because it was hot in there.
Up.
Yeah, right. Not because they're working on cars or doing manual labor. Workers at Tesla also allegedly referred to the factory as the slave ship or the plantation.
Did they?
In addition to other slurs. Yeah, certainly not because they're working.
I wonder, is it the white workers saying that? Referring to it as a slave ship with a plantation?
I think that's implicit in this accusation, that it's the white people saying it, and therefore it must be aimed at black people. But I mean, I don't know. I've had a lot of jobs in my life before being a lawyer, and a lot of people refer to themselves as slaves in the workforce.
Yeah. And
they, call the managers slave drivers, and the whole place is, a plantation. Like, that's not out of the ordinary, and it certainly has nothing to do with the black people working there.
Yeah.
One black worker heard these racial slurs as often as 50 to 100 times a day. That's a lot of times a day. I mean, that's like, that'd be like every 10 minutes. Literally every 10 minutes you're hearing someone refer to Tesla as the plantation. That's extraordinary. Black workers had to clean the factory floor on their hands and knees, while others apparently did not, the lawsuit says. You know what? That's it. Where's the lawsuit? Where is it? I want the lawsuit. I want it. Who filed this?
You can't use the mop. Get down on your hands and knees.
Yeah, I gotta see who is responsible for this. This is the most outrageous thing I've ever heard in my life. On the day the lawsuit was filed, Tesla issued a public blog post titled "The DFEH's Misguided Lawsuit," where it called the lawsuit unfair and counterproductive. A narrative spun by... Oh, that's right. It was a California Department of Fair Employment and Housing. It wasn't a lawyer that filed it. It was this department. That's why. Because Tesla says a narrative spun by the DFEH and a handful of plaintiff firms to generate... Interesting. So they are working with private firms. Dude, all right. We need an intermission or something. I've got to get this lawsuit. Anyway, a narrative spun by these people to generate publicity is not factual proof, the blog post says. I feel horrible we did not get this lawsuit before we went on air. Let's see. I don't suppose anybody in the audience has a copy of this lawsuit. The lawyers listening. And now the chat has paused on me. Tiger, you're not seeing that lawsuit, are you? Man, are we really going to have to,
See how fast I can find it.
I'm going to have to log into Pacer to get this thing? No. All right, well, while we are looking for that, try Odyssey, says Helen.
I found it. I'm going to put in Skype for you.
Thanks, bro.
It's 39 pages.
All right.
How do I get to the chat?
Helen is saying try Odyssey. I've heard. Everybody's going to Odyssey. But it's kind of the... First of all, I've got like 6,000 subscribers on here. That's hard to duplicate. Second of all, we're totally legal. We totally love Big Brother on this program. And so there's no reason that we should be getting flagged at all.
I'm just going to roll through this thing and see if there's any pictures at all. I want to see pictures.
I want to see them. Did you send it to me in the... Yeah, all right. Here we go. You're telling me this black worker heard the word plantation 100 times in a day, and we've got no proof? Boy, this is a lawsuit. Look at this. This just goes and goes and goes.
Footnotes.
Not a single picture. I am sorely disappointed. Demand for jury trial. Siri Dhanasombat is the attorney here. So, I don't know. What plaintiffs' firms are they talking about?
Yeah, because that's directly for the Department of Housing.
Siri Dhanasombat is a trial attorney with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission based in San Francisco. She received a degree in sociology from UC Berkeley and her master's degree from Princeton University. Siri received her law degree from New York University.
There's two other names here, but I think they're all for the department, not some law firm.
All right, well, we got 20 minutes left. Let's definitely, I guess the article pretty much went through all that stuff, huh?
Yeah.
All the main allegations. They're seeking compensatory and punitive damages, economic damages and equitable relief, including but not limited to reinstatement and or front pay, pay adjustments, back pay, lost wages and benefits, and an amount to be proven in trial. Liquidated damages and penalties as required by law, injunctive relief, declaratory relief, prejudgment interest, attorney's fees and costs, other relief. Yeah, it's pretty boilerplate prayer for relief. Let's see. Department, yeah. Who are the people? I don't see any names in here. Do you see any names? Who are these workers? Who are these people who discriminated? They just say workers. Just this amorphous mob of black and or African American workers assigned to more physically demanding posts and the lowest level contract roles, paid less, more often terminated from employment than other workers. These are serious allegations here.
Looks like their footnotes go to these other news articles calling the company racist.
Yeah, ex-Tesla employee called racial slurs wins rare $1 million award. Who puts news articles as footnotes in a...
Because they're making it sound like it's their plaintiff saying this stuff, and then the footnote goes to a news article.
Tesla ordered to pay $137 million for harboring workplace racism. That was 2021, October. Apparently, this happens a lot to Tesla. Let's look at that one. Tesla ordered to pay $137 million over racism in rare verdict. Jury rules in favor of Owen Diaz, a black contract worker. Investors weigh diversity arbitration resolutions this week. Tesla lost a case against a black former elevator operator and must pay an unprecedented $137 million in damages for having turned a blind eye to racial taunts and offensive graffiti the man endured at the electric car maker's auto plant in Fremont, California. Interesting. So it sounds like this is the same exact plant. So are they now suing him on different grounds for the same conduct that they already got sued for? It's interesting that they capitalized the word black, by the way, against a capital B black former elevator operator. I'm sure they do the same thing for whites, Indians, Hispanic persons.
Well, in the lawsuit, they don't. I just did a word search. White manager, it's small w.
Yeah, this was...
white co-worker, small w.
This is Bloomberg.
Hmm.
Oh, Seamus has moved to Bloomington, Indiana. Well, hope you're digging it out there, man. I got family from Indiana. I love that place. I was just talking to somebody from Indiana yesterday, complaining about, I guess people move here to Florida because they don't like the weather up there. I don't get it. I love Indiana. I really hate Florida's weather. It's too hot. Anyway, let's look at this joke of the day. From the Wall Street Journal, Biden says he is vetting about 4 people for Supreme Court vacancy. And here's the joke of the day. Quote, "I'm not looking to make an ideological choice," end quote. The president said of his pick to succeed Justice Stephen Breyer. Totally not political. Wasn't it just last week, maybe even earlier this week, that he got tons of flack from the quote-unquote right-wing media about how he is going to pick a black woman? That was like his sole criteria coming out the gate. I'm going to replace Justice Stephen Breyer with a black female. That's his criteria. Just incredible. No, I'm not going to subscribe. Yeah, I probably should subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. I probably should. But I'm not going to. Certainly not right now. Let's talk about the even better article. This is from NPR. Sudan's military rulers step up crackdown and arrests of activists. The horror. The horror. That there are governments out there who crack down on political activity and arrest activists. I can't believe it. Thank God we live in America. Am I right?
Yeah.
Amira Osman, a Sudanese women's rights activist, was getting ready for bed a few minutes before midnight when about 30 policemen forced their way into her home in Khartoum last month. Oh, just atrocious. You know, I was driving down Colonial here in Orlando the other day, and there were literally 10 Orlando Police Department cars in the parking lot of the Fashion Square Mall for just some random woman. I don't know if she was shoplifting. Maybe she was a homeless person peeing on the side of the road. I don't know what she was doing. It was one woman. 10 cop cars, which means at least 10 cops, probably closer to 20, just standing there milling around talking to this one woman. And we're going to cry that 30 policemen went after this woman. I wonder how many feds... Oh, late for my call. How many feds raided the guys in the Ram case after Charlottesville? I'll bet you it was more than 30. How many policemen went to Roger Stone's house in that charade with CNN when he was accused of colluding with Russia? I'll bet it was more than 30 FBI agents. It looked like more than 30 just from the video we saw from CNN. Wonder how many policemen. Who's another case? You just pick one at random. How many policemen show up when a right-wing activist or politician is arrested? Way more than 30, and they come with battering rams, assault rifles, tear gas, literal tanks. But not saying that this isn't bad. Not saying that this... Not that I'm taking a position on women's rights activism. Certainly not in the Sudan. Just saying, probably not condoning that there are 30 policemen showing up to arrest this woman. I'm just saying, when Americans on the left cry about this happening in other countries, it kind of makes me want to vomit. The men, many in plain clothes and armed with Kalashnikov rifles, pistols, and batons, banged on her bathroom door, ignoring her mother's pleas to at least allow her to get dressed before they took her away. Like that never happens in America. It happens literally on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes NPR does have good articles about that, about when it happens here, when police are out of line here, when they bring 30 guys to the door with rifles and they're terrorizing the family of whoever they're there to arrest.
And shoot the puppy.
Yeah, shoot the puppy, break down the door, arrest the dad in front of the neighbors to humiliate him in his underwear. Yeah, happens literally every day in this country. And sometimes NPR does a good job of that, but it's never when it's an activist right of Hillary Clinton. It's only when it's someone outside of the United States who's advocating something NPR likes. That's when it's an injustice. And again, I'm not saying it's not an injustice that this is happening to this woman, or that these guys showed up with rifles and were terrorizing this woman's mother. Not at all saying that's a good thing. I'm noting the hypocrisy of the media in saying this about one group of people outside the country and completely ignoring it like it doesn't happen here in the United States every single day. That's what just drives me up the wall. It was like they were engaging in a battle or chasing a dangerous terrorist, not a disabled woman, said Osman's sister, Amani, a rights lawyer. Osman, who uses crutches since a 2017 accident, was imprisoned twice under Sudan's former autocratic president Omar al-Bashir for violating strict Islamic laws governing women's behavior and dress. This time, she was detained for speaking out against military rule. Just tragic. Thank God, though, that they're on the case. It is bad that you can't speak out against military rule. Imagine there were corporations that controlled your country, Like there were these giant corporations that nobody could say anything to, and they had more money than God, had no control by the government, and they could just completely exile you from public life on a whim with some purple referee. No articles about that, though. With her January 22nd arrest, Osman joined hundreds of activists and protest leaders targeted since a military coup last October removed a transitional government from power. The detentions have intensified in recent weeks as Sudan plunged into further turmoil with near-daily street protests, sparking fears of an all-out return to the oppressive tactics of al-Bashir. The coup upended Sudan's transition to democratic rule after 3 decades of international isolation under al-Bashir, who was removed from power in 2019 after a popular uprising. I'm sure it was very popular, and probably absolutely not funded by Western governments. The military delivers one message to international diplomats, that they are interested in a political dialogue and fundamental reform of the state. But then they do nothing to hide their blatant efforts to maintain the status quo and undermine efforts to unseat them, said Cameron Hudson, a former U.S. State Department official and Sudan expert at the Atlantic Council's Africa Center. Thank God that would never happen in the United States. The United States would definitely try to hide their blatant efforts to maintain the status quo. They certainly wouldn't advertise it with CNN. Following the coup, which we would never have here in the United States, and I wouldn't even imply that we could have, because we've already gotten our referee warning from YouTube. And we have nothing to say about whether there was or was not a peaceful transition of power in January of 2020. We would never criticize that election or the inauguration or anything in between. I'm just saying thank God that there could never be a coup d'etat here in the United States. Following the coup, in that other country, not the United States, in that evil Sudanese country run by dictators and military folks, following that coup, security forces launched a deadly crackdown on protesters. They fired live ammunition and tear gas at crowds on the streets and knocked the country's internet and mobile signal offline, all in efforts to keep people from gathering. Again, thank God the United States government would never do anything to keep people from gathering. Never require you to wear masks or stay 6 feet apart or only have 10 people together at a time after a hotly contested election that we're not contesting. We have nothing to say about it. But the United States would definitely not try to isolate all of you, keep you from gathering in public, kick you off YouTube for saying anything about it. They would never. This only happens in the Sudan. Here in America, we value democracy. Around 80 people, mostly young men, have been killed and over 2,200 others injured in the protest, according to a Sudanese medical group. Sudanese security forces have also been accused of using sexual violence against women taking part in the demonstrations. The ruling military-led Sovereign Council said a probe was launched into the allegations of rape and gang rape on December 19th, after the United Nations called for an investigation. It is not the first time security forces have been accused of using rape. Such attacks occurred under al-Bashir and also under the military during the transitional period. The US, UK, and Norway, along with the European Union, Canada, and Switzerland, called the recent pattern troubling and urged the release of all those unjustly detained. Rich. Just rich. No one in the United States, what is it again? 5% of the population, and we have what is our percentage of the world's detainees? Something outrageous. We got half the world's detainees.
Yeah.
We got 5% of the world's population and 50% of incarcerated persons in the entire world. Freest country in the world, baby. Thank God we have the internet in this country and we can read NPR to get our blood boiling. You don't have this kind of freedom elsewhere, not in the Sudan. We remind Sudan's military authorities of their obligations to respect human rights and guarantee the safety of those detained or arrested, and the need to ensure that due process is consistently followed in all cases. Laughable. The group said in a statement released by the U.S. State Department, I've seen a lot of things in my years as an attorney, and this whole COVID phenomenon, we're not saying that the data's wrong, YouTube. We're not questioning the COVID phenomenon. I'm absolutely not denying that everybody needs to get vaccinated. What I'm saying is the court processes have gone completely to rout. There is no due process in any court in this country right now. Everybody can say, well, you do technically have the right to a speedy trial, but COVID. You know what? That's actually, that reminds me of the article that you had brought, Tiger, about remote testimony.
The court decision right now. It's really good.
Yeah, so you guys might not know, but there's been a huge issue of, these jurors, every time they come into the courtroom, somebody gets COVID. Somebody brought it with them. Now all the jurors have COVID. Are we infected? And they started saying, well, let's bring in jurors and let's put masks on them. But then the attorneys are like, no, you can't put masks on them, just like you can't put masks on the witness. We can't read the jurors' faces, and the jurors can't read the witnesses' faces. You can't have a trial like that. So then they said, okay, I tell you what, let's do remote hearings. Let's have people just video call into court and testify. No. So now there are challenges about this, obvious challenges. You have a right to face your accuser, and it doesn't count when they're showing up by video. It just doesn't. So this article from Court TV is titled, Ruling Raises New Questions About Remote Testimony in Court. And we'll have to end this quickly because we are over time. An overturned conviction in Missouri is raising new questions about video testimony in criminal court cases nationwide. And the ruling could have ripple effects through a justice system increasingly reliant on remote technology as it struggles with a backlog of cases during the coronavirus pandemic. Missouri's highest court on Tuesday reversed the statutory rape conviction of Rodney Smith in a case from St. Louis, finding that an investigator's video testimony violated the defendant's Sixth Amendment right to confront the witnesses against him. The investigator appeared remotely in 2019 because he was on paternity leave. I'm not even going to comment on that. I'm just going to keep reading. I am so angry today, Tiger. It's been a long time since I've been this worked up about the news. The investigator appeared remotely in 2019 because he was on paternity leave, testifying that DNA evidence taken from the victim's clothing matched the defendant's DNA. The girl had since recanted her accusations, so the conviction and sentence of probation turned on the DNA evidence. Unbelievable. The girl accused this guy of statutory rape. She recanted those allegations, and so they said, well, we're going to go forward with this court travesty anyway, because we're going to put this DNA evidence on. And then the guy with the so-called DNA evidence doesn't even show up. He appears by video. Man, I'm so mad right now. The entire case turned on this guy showing up on video to put forward DNA evidence. Many state and federal courts halted all criminal trials for months during the pandemic. Still halted, by the way, allowing remote trials only when defendants explicitly agreed to forfeit any rights to in-person confrontation of their accusers. Which, if you ask me, is insane. I think a lawyer who advises their client, no, that's okay, we can have them show up by video, is, let me measure my words here, is potentially misleading their client and might possibly open themselves to accusations of misconduct. That's all I'll say. But don't do that. Don't forfeit your right to confront your accuser in person. Do not allow people to show up by video. That's insane. Don't you dare, any of you listening to this program, do not even think about that. That's like a cop pulls you over and asks to search your car. And they're like, yeah, sure, I've got nothing to hide. You know better. If you've been listening to this program, you know better. It has nothing to do with you have something to hide. It has everything to do with people set people up in this country. The cops are out of control. You know better. Don't you let them search your car. Don't you let your lawyer talk you into, oh yeah, just let them show up by video. No. You know better. This is an educational program about the law, not about politics. Tiger, you got any paragraph on here you want to talk about? Because I'm either going to have a stroke. I'm certainly late to my phone call. What do you want to say?
Certainly, in the court's ruling by itself, some of the things that helped here is that the Missouri State Constitution explicitly says that the confrontation must be face-to-face. But then the other cite these United States Supreme Court decisions. One is Coy v. Iowa, where the accuser was behind a screen, so he couldn't even see the girl, and just to like protect her from trauma or something, court ruled, no, it has to, we have never doubted that the Confrontation Clause guarantees the defendant a face-to-face meeting with witnesses appearing before the trier of fact. The Supreme Court noted, although the Confrontation Clause does not, of course, compel the witness to fix his eyes upon the defendant, the clause ensures the integrity of the fact-finding process by allowing the trier of fact to observe the witness and draw its own conclusions. And then they go to some, I didn't get through the rest of it, but the article here talks about the other two Supreme Court cases they raised. A landmark ruling in Maryland v. Craig upheld a trial judge's decision to let a victim of child abuse testify remotely. In a 5-4 decision, the court said the Sixth Amendment doesn't guarantee an absolute right to in-person confrontations, especially if remote testimony is necessary to further an important public policy. It said lessening the trauma was a compelling public interest, but then you got the dissenters. The dissenters said the Constitution provided no wiggle room, and that the point was to place the witness under the sometimes hostile glare of the defendant. Some of those same justices were in the majority 14 years later in Crawford v. Washington, which asserted that the right to confront an accuser in person was near to absolute. And
right.
So they go through those. And something else I want to quickly bring up. I once saw on YouTube a family law case where they were doing a remote hearing. And it was a ridiculous show where I guess it was a divorce or something. And it turned out that the woman was sitting in the same room as the guy that was supposed to be separated from her by police in court order, and that the guy was telling her what to do. And then it got really crazy then, because then the police actually come in and arrest the guy during the trial, and the judge is there. I advise you not to say anything to the police. It's just a ridiculous show. And he's there talking to the lawyer. Look, man, I know this wasn't your idea. But I mean, they got everybody up in this Brady Bunch show on the Zoom call, and you don't know who's off camera doing what during the whole thing.
Right, 100%. Yeah, I mean, you don't. You'd have somebody who's not a lawyer advising this person. You'd have a family member who's just an idiot advising this person off camera. Whereas if you're in a courtroom and, the person's mom starts whispering in their ear, say this, say that, the judge is going to be like, excuse me, you get out of my courtroom. Don't even think about that. Yeah. You're separated by the bar. You're not, witnesses and hostile persons can't whisper things in your ear or try to direct what you're doing or give you answers when you're asked questions. All of that can happen when you're not in the courtroom under the eyes of everybody. You've got opposing counsel looking at you. You've got the opposing party looking at you. You've got the bailiffs looking at you. You've got the court looking at you. The courtroom can be very, very hostile if you are a bad person or if you are doing something bad.
That's why in these recent show trials, you would often see a witness get on stand and just suddenly start blubbering and crying for no reason.
Well, that's true. I guess I had in mind the people who are doing stupid or unethical things during the hearing. I just heard recently about a lawyer who got in trouble for texting his client the answers during a video deposition because they were off camera. Everybody was doing a video deposition and the lawyer's texting this guy the answers. That would never happen in an in-person deposition. I don't like I do like not having to go to court every day. That's awesome. For stupid 10-minute hearings or for pre-trials where you're just like, we need a continuance. This hasn't happened. We got to do this. That's great. I don't want to spend an hour to 2 hours every morning going down to the courthouse to spend literally 3 minutes before the judge. Right. I like those hearings. But if you're talking about substantive hearings where there are people are being cross-examined, evidence is being presented, it's just not typically a good idea. Anyway, all that being said, you got any final words for the audience, Tiger?
No, not this time. No.
All right. I suppose my final words are stay in school. Don't do drugs. Do not talk to the police. Do not allow them to search your person, your belongings, or your car or your house. Insist that they have a warrant. Whether they have a warrant or not, call your lawyer. Don't give them any ground. Don't allow people to talk you into letting witnesses testify at your trial, especially a criminal trial, by video. That is a bad idea. Don't give them any ground. Don't waive your speedy trial rights. You've got so many rights. You should know them. I think we did an episode on that, right?
We did.
Back in the day. Oh my God. You know we've been doing this show for a year now? I had no idea. We started February 1st of last year. We've been doing this over a year. So somewhere back there, I think it was like episode 5 or 6 somewhere, we did a Know Your Rights episode. You should know your rights. Don't let people give you crap. People are out of control, man. People are out of control. The government's out of control. The cops are out of control. And that's not a political statement. It's a legal statement. So know your rights. Stand up for yourself, people. For the love of God, stand up for yourselves. Till next time, guys. Good afternoon to y'all. Out.